So we got a small project going on here. This is the cylinder off of our 12-foot disc, which is the one I'm going to rebuild into a 16-footer. The reason it's off the disc is a couple years ago I blew a piston seal, or was it a rod seal? Might have been a rod seal. Either way, the seal on the cylinder on my planter started leaking right in the middle of using it, and that 12-footer, all the blades are shot, and there's a bunch of bearings that went out the last time we used it. So I had Dad pull the cylinder off of that, and we threw it on the planter, and it wouldn't stay up. It kept leaking down, which tells me that the piston seal is screwed up on it. Right after Dad bought that disc, because that's the one that was sold there, Max got with our 1800 was the 12-footer. So Dad bought that off of Morley's to go back with the tractor. He bought two of these Dalton cylinders, one to put on my 10-foot and one to put on the 12-foot. And not long after we started using them, the one on my 10-foot, I can't remember if that one blew a rod seal or if that one started leaking down too. Pretty sure that one started leaking down too. So basically we're 2 for 2 on cylinders on brand new, well, they're not brand new anymore, but at the time they were brand new cylinders that leaked down. And what I found when I rebuilt the first one was the Anguses that put it all together dry, and when they shoved the tube together, they rolled the piston seal out of the groove and pinched it. Somehow didn't cut it in half, but because it was rolled out of the groove and it was in between the piston and the tube, it wasn't doing anything, so it was leaking down. So I got a feeling that that's the same thing we're going to find here, but since I'm rebuilding that disc, I might as well get the cylinder ready to rock and roll so that it's ready when I need to bring the disc up here. So I guess we'll get her up on the bench and get it apart and go from there. Alright, got the hoses off. I got a feeling we get this apart, we're going to find out that seal has done the same thing that the other cylinder had done. I bet it's rolled out of the groove. Because I tried like hell to pull that rod out to evacuate the oil so that I wouldn't make a mess tearing it apart. I cannot get that rod to move, so I'll bet that piston's stuck in there because it's wedged on the seal. And of all stupid things, the tie rods in this thing are metric, even though it's an SAE cylinder. Which that's annoying, because, you know, fucking metric. Probably gonna have to tear these here. Yeah, take them tie rods all the way apart, clean the threads and anti-season when this thing goes back together. That's for damn sure. Yeah. Okay, now I guess we'll knock the back gland off first. Tie rod cylinders will spoil you. They're just too damn easy. Yep. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Right there. Seal rolled out of the piston. How did I know? That's going to be fun to get that fucker out of there. especially since it's full of oil. Hopefully I can get this gland knocked forward far enough to get the oil out, and then we can worry about getting the piston out. As a word of advice from somebody that works on cylinders, and this is coming from Dad, if you ever take a hydraulic cylinder into somebody to get rebuilt, get the damn oil out of it. Do them a favor. And there we go. I wonder if I got enough room. It looks like I do. Take the rod and knock it backwards and get the seals off the piston. That way I'm not trying to drag that son of a bitch all the way through the tube and fight it. Might need to stick this bad boy in the vise. Oh, they fucked her both ways. We rolled one backup ring out one way and one backup ring out the other way. That'll make her not seal up for shit. So, pull you guys out of here real quick. One at a time, boys, one at a time. How about that? I guess while I got this thing in the vise, we'll pop the nut off. So if we're in it this far, we might as well just replace everything. Well, that wasn't very tight. Also, that socket is cracked. Holy shit. That was actually rather alarming. That should have been way tighter than that. Like, a lot tighter than that. The workmanship on these cylinders leaves a lot to be desired, that's for damn sure. Alright, so these nuts are being a bugger, so I broke out the induction heater again. And because these are oil soaked, it gives you a little bit more dramatic effect on how well this thing works. That's real nice. Teeter, what you think? Huh? What you think, Teeter? She's getting so big. It's only been 3 weeks and it's like she's doubled. I mean, I don't know if she has doubled in size, but it feels like she's doubled in size. She was 6 and 6.75 pounds when I got her. I weighed her Monday. Yeah, and she's 11. And she goes to the vet tomorrow, so we'll weigh her again for her second round of puppy shots. So I'm curious to see what she is. She's getting big. What you think, Teeter? Oh, get out of the oil. You don't need to be in that. I probably should clean that up. It's warm outside now and she loves it. Today's the first time she's seen grass and she didn't know what to do with herself. You go outside, pup? You go outside? Anyway, got all the stuff to finish up the cylinder project, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so as you saw earlier, this is where our leak down problem was, because these backup rings had extruded themselves from out behind the O-ring and got wedged in between the piston and the tube and caused our leak. Now, what caused this is the piston is not sized right for the bore. There's too much clearance that let those things work their way out and get fucked up like that. Which basically comes down to, this is the finest shit that China can provide, and their machining tolerances were garbage. So, that being said, apparently Dalton knew they had a fucking issue with these cylinders, and when I did the first one, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever the hell it was, they, instead of sending an O-ring and 2 backup rings as a replacement for the piston seal, they sent one of these guys. If I can get it out of the bag. This is called an HPX seal. It is a rubber band energizer ring and a urethane sealing ring. And these are sized to fit in the same groove as an O-ring and 2 backup rings, or Dad said you could also get them to replace just an O-ring or an O-ring and a single backup ring. But that's what this is for. And it just goes in here. You put the energizer ring in, and this is what actually gives the seal its sealing power. And then getting the urethane ring over the piston is generally a good time because they're kind of stiff. Come on. Go for me, baby. Like so. So that is the new piston seal. And notice there's no way that that's going to extrude itself out. And these are a little more forgiving when it comes to bore size, which is why Dalton sent that, because that way they didn't have to warranty a bunch of damn cylinders. So there's that. And then we got the rod wiper, which goes, well, put that in here in a second. The rod seal goes in. Notice it's got a lip on it like lip seal. Lip goes towards the pressure. That way when the pressure hits it, it makes the seal go like this. And the more pressure you put on it, the harder it's going to seal. And we put this in the old seal inverter like so. Wrong way. Like so. And that goes in the groove there. Like that. And then the rod wiper. Just about the time you think you got all the damn tools drug out, you don't. That'll work. And honestly, I mean, if this cylinder had 500 strokes on it before it started leaking, I'd be impressed. And when I tore it apart, probably could have left the pistons or the rod seal in it. Probably could have left the rod wiper in it. Probably could have left the gland seals in it because there wasn't nothing wrong with them. It was virtually a brand new cylinder. But because I'm here, I'm just going to replace all of it. There's that. And then the other stupid thing they did on this is the grooves for the gland seals are machined for an O-ring and a backup ring. They only had an O-ring in it. So we got backup rings to go with the new O-rings. So backup ring, one side is flat, the other side is cupped. Cup side goes towards the O-ring, and O-ring and cup go towards the pressure. So pressure going to be going from this side. So cup side up. Backup ring goes in first. And then the O-ring. And that goes on both glands. Like so. Now we can put the gland on the rod. There's that. And the last thing is the O-ring that seals between the piston and the rod. And that keeps oil from going, obviously from sneaking out between the piston and the rod and switching sides of the piston, which would also cause a leak down. And getting these boogers over the threads is generally a fun time. So if you get yourself a little screwdriver or a seal pick, either or, and you just walk it on like that. And the piston goes on. And the rod nut. Whoops. Get back here. That we're going to put on a little bit tighter than they had it because they didn't have it tight at all. And I also don't like how that's not a locking nut, so I think we're going to get it tight, and then we'll take a chisel and tap it right there and stake the thing so that it's going to be harder for it to walk off if it ever does come loose. But it shouldn't come loose. Okay, so got the nut ran home, staked it. Don't know if as heavy as that nut is, don't know if staking it did any good, but it looks like it deformed it enough to bite the threads. So if nothing else, it makes me feel better about life. So now we can put the tube on. So we put a little bit of slickum on the O-ring and the gland seal. And put some on the piston seal. this thing. It's tapered on both sides, so it should go. This is usually the hardest damn part. Come on, walk in there, baby. Oh, we're getting there. So close. Come on, you got one more rib. Oh, I love urethane. Oh, we are in. We are in like sin. There we go. Or the problem is they didn't machine a very good leading edge on that damn tube. On a good cylinder, they got a nice long taper to help lead the seals in. On this piece of shit, they do not. Come on, baby, go in for me. Okay, that's one gland in. And the other one should be a little easier because we're not fighting with the rod too. Like I say, should be easier. Normally, you do not have to fight tie rod cylinders this much. It's kind of fucking ridiculous. There we go. And this, folks, is the difference between a good cylinder and a cheap-ass cylinder. After these things showed up, Dad said never again. Okay, so that's all done. Now we put the tie rods back in, which I'm gonna have to grab some anti-seize for. Okay, so can you? Oh yeah, we're good. Got the rods in, got nuts on their anti-seize. Best practice on a tie rod cylinder is to run the rods up with torque wrench so that you know you're getting them all to the same torque, obviously. So, and then just like any other thing, you want to step it up. And you usually want to crisscross. And these are roughly 1/2-inch rods, whatever they would be in metric. So I'm just torquing up 75 foot-pounds, which is standard for a grade 5 bolt. Come on, there we go. Come on, click. Seriously? Okay, let's switch and see what happens over here. Oh wait, we did that one already. I don't like it when things don't click. They all sound about the same. They didn't click, and that concerns me. Okay, so they're all clicked up to 50. Let's go there. Why is that guy not clicking? Let's try on this thing. Oh, well, it'd help if I wouldn't turn the whole damn thing. There we go. That made me nervous, boys. Okay, now we're all clicked up. That made me nervous. But once you get them done, what you want to do is take your wrench and kind of like a tuning fork, make sure they all sound the same, because if you whack it and they don't sing back to you, they ain't tight enough. So now we will get the air hose out and run it back and forth, and then we'll pressure it one way and pressure it the other way and check and make sure there's no leaky, because if air ain't gonna leak, hydraulic oil definitely ain't gonna leak. And we should be good. Okay, I just shoved some fittings in there so that I did not turn compressor on either. I just shoved some fittings in there so I can adapt it to something I could put this rubber tipped air chuck in. So all right. Nothing leaking that way. Nothing leaking that way. I want to do this way one more time. Yep, we are good. Beautiful. So, yeah. There you have it. All I gotta do is slap the hoses back on and it will be ready to go back on the disc when the time comes to bring it down here and start working on it. So, sweet. Anyway, I guess there's no sense in showing me screwing the hoses back on, so the important part's out of the way. So with that, I guess that's it for this one, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.